In a huge boost to India despite border tensions with Pakistan, the IMF claims Bharat will become the fourth largest economy this year, surpassing Japan. Meanwhile, this is the state across the border. Social media users are highlighting long lines of people outside banks and ATMs inside Pakistan as a fear grips the people of a massive market clash amidst this border tension with India. India is on course to become the third biggest global economy before 2030, while Pakistan is way down the list in 43rd place, even behind the likes of Bangladesh or the heavily sanctioned Iran, according to Statistics Times portal. In another embarrassment, the UNSC has asked Pakistan to probe its links to the Kashmir attack, while backing India's concerns over Islamabad's state-sponsored terror policy. But things are set to get much worse for Islamabad as India imposes a severe economic blockade. In another major victory for India, now the World Bank has refused to intervene or challenge any Indian suspension of the Indus Water Treaty. The message is clear: terror and water cannot flow together. Latest World Economic Outlook April 2025 edition of the IMF reports India's nominal GDP for 2025 is expected to be $4.18 trillion, marginally more than the projected GDP of Japan, estimated at $4.186 trillion. Data suggests India will overtake Germany by 2028 to become the third biggest global economy, with its GDP estimated to touch $5.5 trillion, more than Germany's $5.2 trillion. No country in the top 50 can currently match India's growth rate of 6.3%, and that is precisely why Islamabad, with the backing of China, is raking up tensions at the border while pushing terror in Kashmir. Chief Economic Advisor Dr. V. Anantha Nageswaran expressed confidence in the Indian economy's resistance and resilience, saying that the Indian economy is in good shape despite challenging global environment. On the other hand, Pakistan's economy is in shambles, marred by political turmoil and an ever-present financial crisis. With a growth rate of just 2.6%, Islamabad is fast falling far behind Bharat, and the gap is only widening. The sluggish economy is now also feeling the brunt of aggressive measures taken by the Indian government in the aftermath of the devastating Pahalgam attack. Prime Minister Modi's government has decided mere condemnation and diplomatic censure will not do at all. Instead, India has launched a full-blown economic and diplomatic offensive to further cripple Pakistan before any military retaliation. Flight tracking data reveals that major international carriers such as Lufthansa and Air France have begun rerouting their flights to avoid Pakistani airspace altogether. Air France stated, quote, "Due to recent tensions between India and Pakistan, the airline has decided to suspend overflight of Pakistan until further notice," unquote. German airline Lufthansa told Reuters that it's avoiding Pakistani airspace until further notice, despite resulting in longer flight times. In more bad news for Pakistan, flight tracking data showed other airlines including the Emirates, Swiss International Airlines, as well as British Airways, all avoiding Pakistani airspace. This will massively impact earnings of overflight fees for a nation already cash-strapped. Now, this ban could also soon be seen in shipping lanes as well. Indian Directorate General of Shipping has imposed a ban on entry of any ship bearing Pakistani flags to India, essentially blocking their access to one of the world's biggest consumer markets. Other moves targeted to punish Pakistan for backing terror in Kashmir include a blanket ban on all goods imported directly or indirectly from Pakistan, even through third countries. This measure will halt cross-border trade worth 3,886 crore rupees between the warring neighbors. Former trade officer and GTRI head Ajay Srivastav said, quote, "India doesn't depend on Pakistani goods, so the economic impact is minimal. However, Pakistan still needs Indian products and may continue accessing them through third countries via recorded and unrecorded routes, unquote. The current stance by the Indian government is aimed at choking this rerouted trade that had been surviving via third countries. Ever since 2019, after the Pulwama attack, when India removed the most favored nation tag for Pakistan, the bilateral trade has already shrunk to negligible levels. India's exports to Pakistan from April to January of 2024-25 fiscal year stood at $447 million, while imports were at $0.42 million or nearly nothing at all. India doesn't need anything from Islamabad. The latest measures are aimed at stopping Pakistan now from profiting from Indian markets or consumers. Remember, India's overall goods trade stands at $430 billion, 4 times more than Pakistan's nearly $100 billion. Islamabad will be bearing the brunt as its sectors like cement, textiles and some agricultural goods completely rely on informal or third-party routes to reach Indian buyers. Moreover, Pakistani merchant vessels often used Indian ports for transshipment or bunkering and even maintenance. These will now be denied, forcing Pakistani ships to reroute through longer and costlier alternatives like Oman or the UAE, which in turn will prove to be a huge strain on Pakistan's economy. A report by Moody's has now stated how Pakistan's progress in achieving macroeconomic stability and fiscal consolidation will be affected amid sustained friction at the border with India. The global rating agency issued a stern warning that India's bold response will further pressure Pakistan's foreign reserves, impairing its access to external financing required to meet huge debt payments. Pakistan's foreign exchange reserves are just at $15 billion and are not even close to India's $688 billion plus. Moody stated, quote, "In a scenario of sustained escalation and localized tensions, we do not expect major disruptions to India's economic activity because it has minimal economic relations with Pakistan." The warning by Moody's comes at a delicate time for Pakistan's economy, which is seeking debt relief and further IMF assistance to manage a large external debt burden. This meeting between Pakistan officials and the IMF is set to take place on the 9th of May. Post the Pahalgam attack, Pakistan's stock market suffered massively, plummeting close to 8,000 points amid the ongoing flare-up with India. Feeling the heat, the Pakistan stock market experienced a sharp crash with the KSE 100 index falling 3% in a single day on the 30th of April, shedding 3,545 points. Even as geopolitical uncertainty continues to persist in the region, the Indian stock market is responding positively to Modi government's diplomatic and strategic handling of this situation. For instance, on the 28th of April, the Sensex surged over 1,000 points or 1.36% to reach 80,305. In fact, post the Pahalgam attack, while Pakistan's stock market has plunged more than 4%, India's Sensex has risen by 1.5%, showcasing global confidence in Bharat's long-term rise despite Pakistan's terror antics. Islamabad knows it cannot afford a long drawn-out conflict with a much superior India, which is why it is provoking New Delhi with fake claims of social media of tracking Indian Air Force Rafale over the LOC or the Indian Navy Poseidon over Arabian Sea. Low on resources, Asim Munir might want to tempt India into an immediate, short conflict rather than a multi-dimensional war of attrition in which India is bound to win. Have your say. Is Pakistan's economy heading for a disaster after India's retaliatory measures? Leave a comment with your opinion in the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.